Okay, good morning and welcome back. Okay, so we're going to do another exercise in chapter 14 this morning. And I think we're getting close to being done with this chapter. And so we got this exercise, we have another exercise on Monday, and then another kind of different kind of assignment where we're going to do this one, which coincides with chapter 14 next Wednesday. Okay, so a few more things to do for chapter 14. And then we'll finish up with chapter 10, which is on simulations and some other things like that. Okay, and then yeah, I'll get I'll make sure everyone turned in their midterms, and I'll get those graded by the end of the week, end of the weekend. Okay, so today's assignment is example 14.5 and 14.6 right here. All right, and so you can go to Blackboard. You can open up the example 14.5, 14.6 Word document. Okay, and so we're gonna learn a couple new forecasting methods, which are first moving average and second exponential smoothing. All right, and how those compare to just a normal average. There's a nice little 10-minute video here if you want to watch this after the fact. It helps to explain the concept. So I'll try to explain it as we go along, but this is a pretty useful video that explains it kind of by hand in a very simple concept. So if you want a little more background on moving average and exponential smoothing after we do these concepts in today's exercises, then go ahead and take a look at that video. All right, so we can open up the hardware sales Excel file. That's the one for today. Okay, and let me see if I can find the description. So I think this is the same one. So for our textbook, it's example 14.5. For the previous textbook that I have posted here, it's example 16.5. But we're doing forecasting weekly sales of hardware at Lee's. So Lee's is a local discount store that sells a variety of merchandise like Kmart, Walmart, and Target. Okay, I'm not sure if we have Kmart anymore, but we definitely have Target and Walmart, so like that. And in particular, Lee's sells a full line of hardware. The company has kept track of weekly total dollars of hardware items for the past 104 weeks. Okay, we have data on that in the file. And Lee wants to use moving averages, which I'll explain, with an appropriate span to try to forecast weekly sales for the next month or so. So we'll do that. And so the first part of this example 14.5, we're going to use and learn about exponentials or moving averages. And then we're going to try it with exponential smoothing. So two nice forecasting methods that you probably haven't used before, but they're pretty useful and you can do them in Excel. And so I'll kind of show you those today, this morning. Okay, so let's go ahead and start looking at the time series for the hardware sales. Okay, so here we go. The only thing you have in your spreadsheet is the sales data for all these weeks. So it goes down all the way to week 104. All right, and so you got the appropriate sales data for each week. And all we're trying to do is see if we can get a nice guess of what sales data is going to be for the next week, which should be 105. All right, so we're going to use the historical data um, to try to predict the data for the next month, which would be nice for the company. And we're going to do that by using a couple methods that we haven't used before, but we're going to use today, which are moving averages. And then secondly, in the next exercise, exponential smoothing. So we're going to use the same piece of data for both exercises today, but we'll use two different methods for each. Okay. Okay. So first, we're going to do it by using a moving average. So example 14.5, forecasting weekly sales at Lee's Hardware, the hardware sales. Because we're going to use the data twice for two different things, 14.5 and 14.6. Let's go ahead and make two separate areas that we can do analyses on. So if you go back to the spreadsheet, I'm just going to open up a new tab, click that button at the bottom, and I'm going to copy and paste the data in the other tab so we have it in two tabs. And the first tab we'll use for the first exercise, and the second tab we'll use for the second exercise. But we're going to use the same exact thing of data, and so I think it's easier rather than open up two separate files. Let's just make two tabs. Okay, so you can select all the data if you go to A1 and hit Control A. All right, Control A selects it all, so you want to have selected A1 to B105, all that, and then copy it, Control C. And let's go over to the next sheet that you made, sheet 1. And at A1, let's just paste it, Control V. Okay, so there you go. You have the same data in this tab and this tab. Okay, and let's call this tab the first one here. Let's call this example. Let's call this 14.5. All right, and let's call this one 14.6. Okay, so this exercise, next exercise, and we got the same piece of data now in both. Yeah. Okay. So step one, in example 14.5, the first tab is we're just going to create a time plot of hardware sales over time. All right, so this is the time series. We're just looking at one variable, uh, hardware sales over time, which would denote it as a time series. So let's look at the plot, see what it looks like, and make a few labels here. All right. So what you want to do is just select everything. So I'm on the 14.5 tab, and again, Control A as an apple selects all of it. All right. So you got A1 to B105 selected, and let's hit Insert. Let's hit Recommended Charts, and this is the one we want, the line chart. All right. Hit OK. Okay, so we'll do some formatting, but you should get something like this. So see how this is the each week's sales data over time. So you can see how kind of how the sales data behaves over time. And so we're trying to use what's happened in the historical data, which you see here, just try to see if we can predict what's going to happen next month. So, right, so you get that time series graph over time for sales. Um, let's just let's just add labels here. All right, if you click on the chart and you click on the plus sign, let's hit axes titles. All right, and let's uncheck chart title. We don't need that. And then you just put in your title. So this is the sales, the y-axis. Oops. Okay, and this is the week. Okay, and again, another way you could do the changes is click on the chart, click on chart design, add chart element, and if you wanted to take off the chart title, you can do it that way. And if you wanted to add the axis titles, you could do it that way, and that should pop them up. And you could just type in the names. Y-axis is sales, x-axis is week. All right, so you get a nice little time series graph of the sales data over time, you always want to look at what the data looks like because it helps you get a nice feel of what you're working with. And so based on what's happened here, it's a little jumpy around, but based on what we kind of see, we're going to try to make a prediction for next month's sales. Okay, now we are going to use the moving average, and um, what a moving average does is it essentially moves the average over time. So like we're going to do here a moving average of 3, and so a moving average of 3 would be the average of the last 3 observations. So like if you look at this data, like if you did a full average, it would be an average like you'd sum up all of these 104 observations and just divide it by 104. But the reason why you want to do the moving average is because you think the behavior of the data changes. So like if we just did an average, it would be something like right there in the middle. But see how it kind of has a general trend. I mean, it kind of jumps around, but there's big changes. Like here it goes up for a while, here it goes down for a while. So we want to know the big changes, not so much the unpredictable jumps or the fluctuations, but we do want to know the general behavior. So if the data goes up like that, or down like that, or up like that, like we want the general idea. So it's possible that, or likely that an average isn't the best because things have changed, right? So we kind of want to put more emphasis on what's happened recently, and so we're going to do that by specifying the average to only capture whatever um, last few observations we want. So basically, if we did a moving average of 3, right, that would be like you start with here, and you take the average of these 3. All right, that's your first one. Then you move it. The next one would be the average of the next 3. All right, so you keep moving the average of 3, and essentially your prediction or your forecast of a moving average of 3 would be the average of the last 3 observations. All right, if you did a moving average of 4, it would be the average of the last 4 observations. Okay, so that's what you do. You specify the average with an interval 3, 2, 3, 4. It's got to be at least 2. Then you move it. All right, and so it keeps moving up, but you keep doing the same average. And just note that whatever moving average number you specify, you got to have at least that number to start your series. So if you're doing a moving average of 5, you got to have at least 5 observations, right? So the moving average of 5 would take the average of those, start there, and keep moving it. Okay, so that's the idea, um, and I think that makes a little sense, hopefully. And we'll do some examples. And again, there's more on that in the video, but we're trying to use this because we think the average isn't a great predictor of lots of historical data, and doing this moving average process will give us a better predictor uh, by kind of specifying the average that we want and moving. Okay, so that's kind of what we're doing here. Okay, so now that I kind of trying to explain moving average, let's go ahead and try to use it. So let's use Excel uh, to estimate a moving average forecast with data analysis. And we'll use 3 intervals. We'll put the column in forecast C and label it forecast. All right, so let's move this chart down a little bit. Get it out of the way. Um, all right, in column C, let's just label this forecast in C1. Okay, so we're going to use the data analysis tools that we loaded last time. If you weren't here on um, Monday, then I think you might need to. So click on the data tab. All right, and let me just show you this again just in case. So on data tab, right, see there where I have data analysis. So I showed you how to load that last time, but if you weren't here or you need to do it again or something, let me just show you now. So we want to use that data analysis feature, but like Solver, it needs to be activated. So if you don't see data analysis, when you click on Data tab, okay, see mine there, and then do this for Windows. File, Options, uh, Add-ins, and then down here where it says Manage Excel Add-ins, click on Go. Okay, and you should see this little add-ins available. And if you have the analysis tool pack there, and it's not checked, then check it. And if you check it and hit OK, it's going to pop it up right there. And I believe the way to do it, this was for a Mac, was you want to go up here to Tools and then go down to Excel. So in the Mac version or in the Mac Excel, you're going to see a Tools menu. And under the Tools menu, you'll see Excel add-ins. And that'll take you right to that box, and you just click on the analysis tool pack options, and that should do it. So again, to verify that you have data analysis that we're about to use, click on the data tab, and over there you should see data analysis if you have it. So, and the student version has it, so everybody should be able to use it. But all right, so just to double check, anyone not have data analysis at this point? All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and use data analysis to specify a moving average. So click on the data tab, click on data analysis. Okay, and this thing comes up, and you want to choose what we're doing, which is a moving average. Oh, so somehow it's already checked, but it's in alphabetical order. Just check the moving average option and hit OK. Okay, your input range, hit that button, is the whole B column. Okay, so select B1 to B105. All right, and then hit that button, and then hit this button for labels in first row. Uh, Interval, we're doing a moving average of 3, and it says in the steps there, use 3 intervals. So just type in a 3 there. And the output range, you got to specify the exact range, which is going to go in the C column. So click on that and choose C2. C2 to C106. Hit that. All right. So this is what you should see in your little moving average parameters box. So input range is B1 to B105. Click on the box that says labels in first row. Interval is 3, and output range is C2 to C106. Okay, all right. So everybody got this? We're about to hit OK here. All right, so if you got this, hit the OK button. All right, and we got to move a few things around, but it should do that. So it should put some calculations into this column here. Okay, so did that work?
Yes.
Okay, great. Um, okay, so I'll show you exactly what's going on here, but I just want to do a little bit of moving things around. So, okay, first of all, these are all the weeks 1 through 104, and we're gonna try to predict uh, the sales data for week 105. So let's go ahead and specify that week here that we're forecasting. So just in A106, just type in 105. All right, that's the week we're trying to forecast. And you can see how it it does the moving average of 3, but it lines it up right next to it. Now I want it to be so it's the forecast is the last moving average, kind of what it does here. So all we need to do is kind of bump the data or bump the column down one cell. All right, so first these little NA things, you can delete those. Okay, so you can just select them and hit the delete button on your keyboard. And then I'd like to essentially insert a cell. All right, so if you click on either C2 or C3, click on C2, and then just under the Home tab, um, okay, just hit the big insert button here, and that's going to insert one cell. And you can see that's going to bump the data down one, which is what we want. Okay, so if you go down to the bottom, you should see that your week 105 prediction right there is the average of the last 3 observations. See how it's the average? See how the week 105 forecast is the average of 102, 103, and 104? And so that's what this moving average does. So see how if we start here, all right, there's the average of the first 3. Then we move the average, okay, there's the average of the next 3. Then we move it again. So we keep moving this average of 3 all the way down to the end. And when our prediction becomes just the average of the last 3. So see how the your formula for C106 should be equals average B103 to B105. Okay, so did that all work? Everyone's got their forecast here starting in C5, and then you double check your numbers. And I guess the one to verify probably is make sure that your value here in C106 is 1,754 because that's what I think we should have there. So double check that number. All right. Okay. All right. Step 3 is we're going to do a little data or error analysis. So let's label column D error, um, and let's calculate the forecast error in D5 with that formula equals B5 minus C5 and copy it down the D column. So let's start with that. Okay, so D1, let's call that error. All right, and we don't have an error until we have an actual prediction. So just go down to D5 because the moving average process doesn't start until observation 4 because we got to have at least 3 previous pieces of data to start it, right? So nothing, there's no moving average of 3 here, here, here because we didn't have at least 3 things. Okay. The simple forecast in D5 equals. All right, this equals B5 minus C5. So it's the actual data minus the prediction. So just the difference between what occurred and what the moving average predicted. So just equals B5 minus C5. All right, so we were 297 off. We want that same error calculation. So go ahead and drag it down all the way to here. Okay, and then you get your error there in D5 all the way to D105. Okay, got that. Okay, let's label column E APE. So we've done this a bunch of time, and let's calculate the APE in E5 with that formula, and we'll copy that down, and then we'll get the MAP. So we'll finish the error analysis here. Okay, so column E in E1, let's call this APE. Okay. All right. So here's the formula that starts in E5, right? Because we don't have any errors until we actually have a forecast. So starting in E5 equals ABS. Okay. Double parenthesis B5 minus C5 divided by B5. Okay. So equals ABS. Double parentheses B5 minus C5 divided by B5. Okay, so that's the percent off of actual minus predicted over actual. Uh, the the um, the printout says C5 minus B5 divided by B5. Uh, it's going to give you the same thing, but I like to do it where we usually do it this way, so you can put it like this. But either way is because you're taking the absolute value, it's not going to make a difference. But the the formula you see in the steps or in the Word document is just flips these around, but it's the same thing. But this is the way we normally do it. So equals ABS B5 minus C5 divided by B5. So equals actual minus prediction over actual. All right, and then let's apply that down. So grab the bottom right corner of E5 and drag it down like this. Okay, so you get your APE in E5 all the way to E105.
I got 0 for mine. It's just saying 0.
Okay, for this one.
Yes.
And do you see? So is it doing B5 minus C5 divided by B5 like that? Like, do you see the highlighted cells?
Yes. Okay, yeah, I see what I did wrong. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yep. Yeah. So just you can kind of look at where the cells line up. So if it's that minus that over that, should come out right. Okay. Let's see. Okay, the E column. All right. Click on the E column and let's just make this percentages. So this is the AP. So click on the E column like that, and right here you see under the Home tab you see the percent button. You can hit that, and if you want, you can okay add two decimals. All right, so we got our APs here, and then what I'd like to do is just get an average. Actually, one thing we can do here. All right, so there's 105 or 106 cells or rows. One nice thing we can do when you scroll down, you kind of want to see what you're looking at or the title. Um, so one nice feature, if you want to do this, is click on the View tab and click on see this button that says Freeze Panes. If you want to click on that, and if you want to, it's got a little snowflake to and you can click on freeze top row. Okay, so view tab, freeze panes, and freeze top row. And what that's going to do is you can see. So see how when you scroll down, it keeps the top row frozen. You can see what title you're in. See that? Okay, and then what I'd like to do here is I want to see what the average error is and the average APE so we can confirm we have the same thing. So this, I'm going to highlight,
Professor,
yes.
how did you add the decimal places on
Oh,
the percentages?
So when you got the column selected and you choose it to percentages, there should be a little button, like a shortcut. See those little buttons that say back dot 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 zeros? Do you see those? there's one for increased decimal and one for decreased decimal. It's a shortcut. I can show you the other way, but you probably have the shortcut, yeah?
Yeah, but it's like it's not working.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what other way you can do it is just click on the E column, and let's do under Home tab, Format, the menu, and then Format Cells, and you can just do it manually. So just under the category, choose percentage, and just change your decimals to 2.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, so you can always do it that way. This just sometimes there's some shortcuts, but yeah, that works just the same. Um, okay, so I'm just gonna this little area, um, A106 to E106. That's the kind of the forecast and the summary area. So I'm just gonna highlight that, maybe the yellow color, the highlight yellow, so we know that we're in the forecast area. All right, so that's our uh, moving average of 3 forecasts. And what I'd like to get here is the average error and the average APE, which is going to be the MAPE. So in D106, all right, let's double check that our average error is the same. All right, so in D106 equals average D5. All right, so equals average D5 to D105. Enter. 0. We get 0. Let me add a few decimals and see if that. Okay. So you should get if you add the decimals, if you increase a couple decimals, you should get your average error is 24 cents. Okay, and I also want to get the average APE, which is the MAPE, so we can double check that. So go ahead and just uh, drag that over like that. That's that. Don't do that because it kept the formatting. So let's just delete that. And in E106, just take the average of this column. So in E106 equals average. Average of E5 to E105. All right, so here's what we're going to confirm. So let's double check now that you got in C106, there's your moving average forecast, 1,754. In D106, that's your average error, which should be 24 cents. And in E106, that's your MAPE, which should be 13.93%. Okay, so does everyone have those same values there that you see online? Okay. All right, so we got that then. And next thing, all right, we did the moving average, we did the errors. Let's It's nice to see a plot so you can see kind of what the purpose of the moving averages are. Um, so let's create we already made that graph, but let's create a sales graph of sales and forecast together over time. Um, so we're gonna graph the actual sales and the moving average and see how it looks. Um, let's see. So we got this graph. So we can either try to add it to it, or we can just do a whole new graph. Let me see what's easier. Let me see if I could do this. Right. Okay, I think this will work. All right, so let me show you so I tried, or I did, I added a second series to the original graph. So let me show you what I did, and hopefully we can do this. Back. All right, so start with your graph. Right, so everyone's got the sales graph. Here's sales, here's the week. So what I'd like to do, and this is a nice thing to know how to do, is you can add a series to the previous graph. Okay, and the way to do that is click on the graph and right click it, and you should see select data. Yeah, hit that. And what we're going to do is add a series. So see where it says legend series entries, edit, add, edit, remove. Click on the add button, and let's specify that our new series name is going to be um, forecast, right? Column C. So just click on that button and just choose that C1. It might say like a weird. It has the reference of the tab, but if you click on C1, it should do it. And hit that button. And then let's choose our values. And we got to have the same range. So click on that button and choose with the mouse C2. C2 to C105. All right, and it'll have that. It might have that little 14.5 tab reference, but you can select C2 to C105 and hit that button. Okay, so the new series name is C1, and the new series values are C2 to C105. Okay, and if you hit OK and OK, that should do it. I'll make a legend. I'll show you how to do that, but it should add that red series. All right. So see how that is the sales forecast of the moving average, the red line. Okay. So did that work? Did we get were we able to add the red line to the blue line essentially?
No, I'm having trouble. Can you do it one more time, please?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. All right. So cancel that. All right. So you got your first graph. Um, okay. So right click it. And so if any of these features you don't see or you fall behind, just let me know and I'll so you get to select data, right? Right click and select data. All right, so you're here. And when you're here, we're manually adding a second series. So right there where it says legend entry series and the add, click on the add button. Okay, and the series name, hit that button to select it, is C1. So just choose it with the mouse or just choose it manually. And then hit that button. And specify the series values by hitting that button and choosing the range C2, C2 to C105. Okay, and then hit that button to select it. All right, and so you've got your series name is C1, which will be the forecast, and your series values are C2 to C105, so it'll be the same range as the sales data.
Okay.
So you got this in your parameters there?
Yeah, I got it now.
All right, then hit OK, and hit OK, and did it do it?
Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
All right. Now, what we can do here is, because there's two things now, It might be nice to know which is which. So if you click on the chart and click on the plus sign, you should see the option for legend. And oh, where do we want the legend? We can put it right top, left, no, not that, or bottom. I think I like on the right because it's right next to it. Let's do that. Okay, so you just click on the chart elements and you click on legend, and see how now it tells you the blue line is the sales and the red line is the forecast. And again, or not again, but I think you can get to this via menu. So if you click on the chart and you click on the chart design thing and you click on add chart element, and there's the legend thing. So you can get to it this way too if you're using a Mac or you don't have that chart elements shortcut thing.
Wait, Professor, how'd you do the sales forecasts and like the labels, I guess, for the lines?
The legend here, these
Yeah,
things. Oh yeah, okay.
yeah.
So let's do, yeah. So all right. So we're just adding a legend. So are you using a Mac or Windows?
Windows.
Oh, okay. So click on the chart. Click on the plus sign there for chart elements, and then we just went down, and there should be an option for legend. All right. And if you just click the box, that should do it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right. So there's our. Okay. So you can see kind of the usefulness of the moving average is the moving average kind of gets the, like I was trying to illustrate, it gets the general idea. So it kind of goes along with what's going on, but it doesn't get these. The point is that these crazy jumps, like if there's some unpredicted sales month or unpredicted sales drop, we don't really want to put that in our prediction because it's kind of like these huge fluctuations are almost impossible to predict. What we do want is kind of the general trend, all right? So if sales for a number of years or a number of weeks are going up, we want that. If they're going down, we want that, all right? So we want these big trends, but we don't want these crazy fluctuations because those are impossible to predict. So that's why it's a lot smoother, okay, than the actual data. And then yeah, okay. Last thing for this one is let's just plot the errors. So let's make a time plot of forecast errors over time, and we want to make sure that the errors are not like kind of fluctuate around zero and don't have a pattern. All right, and so let's confirm that. Okay, so all we're going to do here is let's see. Okay, so we want to select the week and the error. So we want to select two non-adjacent ranges. So first select the week. Okay, first select A1 to A105. All right, and then we want to select the error. So if you hold down the control button on your keyboard, and then with the mouse or with your selection thing, do this. All right, while keep holding down control, and then select that range. So if you choose something, then hold down control, and then choose something again manually, you can see how I selected the two ranges that are not consecutive. So hopefully you're able to select A1 to A105 and D1 to D105. Okay, so see I have those two selected did that work? Okay, well, if you got those two selected, let's insert recommended charts, and let's choose, what's this one? Let's choose line chart. Yeah, okay. Oh, jeez. Okay, so there we go. I'll do a few things, but we get the error and you get the kind of fluctuations around zero. All right, so were we able to get this chart with and so if you click it, it shows what we selected, the week and the error. Uh, and again, they're not adjacent ranges, but you can select them both by hitting the control button. Okay, let's click on this. Let's hit the plus sign for add chart elements, and let's uncheck the chart title, and again, check axes titles. All right, and you can also do it by clicking that, chart design, add chart element, and uh, axes title. So you can do it that way. But once you get those selected, let's call this um, error. And let's call this week. Okay, and the last thing we'll do is, I think we've done this maybe once, but I want to move this, see how the labels are kind of it's a mess here. I want to put the labels down at the bottom. Okay, and to do that, you can click on it. See how I clicked on the x-axis like that? It's all selected. And then right-click it and hit Format Axes. Okay, and there should be an option for click on Labels. And do you see Label Position? If you change the label position to low, okay, so Format Axes and open up the Labels thing, and then change label position to low. All right, and see how that moved it down there? Yeah, and so the point here was to see that your errors are supposed to kind of fluctuate around zero, not have much of a pattern, which is pretty much what they do. So, okay, did we get this one?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we got step 5, and then our week 105 forecast and our MAP. We already got that, but just to note, our forecast for week 105 using an MA3 would be 1,754. So that's what we're with all this analyses. We're saying that uh, our guess for week 105 would be that 1,754. Okay, so see how that's kind of right there somewhere. Okay, example 4.5 we're done with. So save this, and I guess the second exercise is on this tab. So you're gonna put them both together. Okay, so we're done with this one. All right, and click on the second tab, and we're now going to do example 14.6. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're going to look at the same analyses, but we're going to do I'm going to show you what exponential smoothing is. So here it is. In the previous example, we saw that the moving average method was able to provide, well, I don't know if it was, yeah, the error was pretty high. So fair forecasts um, with a MAPE of about 14%. And now we're going to try exponential smoothing to see if this method's any better. All right, and so we're going to look at the same data. We're going to try something called exponential smoothing, and you probably haven't used this before, but it's essentially what we're doing is we're assigning a weight to the most recent observation and then putting some more weight or the rest of the weight on what happened in the forecast series. So this equation, all right, essentially tells us that alpha is on a scale of 1 to 10, and whatever we decide alpha is how much weight we put on the last observation that just happened. So like if alpha was 1, then our forecast is just exactly what happened last time. So if this is 1, then that means what just happened is the forecast. But that's probably not going to be the case. This will be like 0.5 or 0.9, and so if this is 0.5, 50% of the forecast is what just happened, and then the other 50% is what's happened in the series of the forecasts. Okay? So by doing this, if we think whatever we think what just happened is more important, we can assign more weight to that. If we think what just happened is less important and we want more weight kind of throughout the overall series, we can change alpha. So alpha specifically tells us how much weight we want to put to the last observation that we just saw. Bigger alpha, closer to 1, then more weight. If it's closer to 0, less weight. All right, so that's all we're doing, and this simple equation you'll see here is kind of what you're going to, and you'll have to manually do this in some of the examples, but it's pretty simple, where it's just alpha times what just happened, and then 1 minus alpha times what happened in the last forecast. Okay, so that's the simple equation there that we're going to try to do, and all we have to do is specify our alpha. So let's see if we can do this method. Okay, example 14.6. So we're doing the same thing, or we're doing the same kind of prediction. We're looking at the hardware sales, same exact data, but now we're going to try exponential smoothing. We're going to try two specific ones by changing the alpha. So first one we'll do is alpha equals 0.1. Okay, so let's estimate an exponential smoothing method with data analysis, and we'll use, so Excel has a damping factor, and the damping factor is essentially 1 minus alpha. So if we want to specify an alpha of 0.1 and the damping factor is 0.9, then 1 minus 0.9 is 0.1. So think of your damping factor as 1 minus alpha. Okay, all right, and then we'll put it in column C, and we'll call column C alpha equals 0.1. Okay, so again, we did this one. Now we're on 14.6 tab, right? So we just got the sales data again. And we're going to predict 106, week 106, or sorry, week 105. Okay, so go down to A106 and just type in a 105. Right there, that's what we're trying to predict now using exponential smoothing. So we got weeks 1 through 104. We're trying to predict 105. Okay, and let's call column C, C1. Let's call this alpha equals 0.1. Okay, and now we're gonna do a moving average, or sorry, exponential smoothing forecast by using an alpha equals 0.1. So, okay, you got that there, and then let's go ahead and hit data, and back to data analysis. Okay, and the one we're doing now in in alphabetical order is that one, exponential smoothing. Okay, so choose that and hit OK. Input range, hit this button. is B1 to B105. Okay, hit that. All right, remember damping factor is 1 minus alpha. So if we want an alpha of 0.1, then our damping factor is 0.9. Okay, so just type it in there, 0.9 for damping factor. Click on that box that says labels, and then output range, hit that button, and let's choose C2 to C106. Okay, and hit that. So double check here that you got your input range is B1 to B105. Your damping factor is 0.9. You got labels box checked, and your output range is C2 to C106. All right, hit the OK button. And we got some formatting to do, but it should put your values there in this column. Okay. All right, so we'll do some formatting. I'll explain this, but did that work? Everybody got some
Um,
yeah?
for my range, it didn't select 106, and I selected through 106. Like it didn't put anything on 105 or 10.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, mine didn't do it either. So it's we'll
No,
just
no, for my bad, for 105, it didn't put anything.
oh, you mean for this one?
Yes.
And so what does this one say? Does this one say C104? Does that say equals 0.1 times B103 plus 0.9 times C103?
Let me see. Uh, for which one? Which one are you looking at? I'm sorry.
Well, I was looking at so you said
18. The last one, 1828.
oh yeah
Yes. Yeah, it says that B104 0.9 to C103.
oh so if you got I think you have it looks like you have like one of them is 104 and one of them is 103, so that means that I think something got messed up in the like you're taking one here, like it's not in the same row.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I think well, I'll show you how to fix it. Okay, so
Okay.
yeah. Okay, so let's see. Let's fix the first one, and then we can just drag it down. So, um, all right. First of all, everyone just see that NA thing. Just delete that. Okay, and then second of all, let's let's format this to be currency, so it looks kind of like the sales data. So click on the C column first, and let's format it to look like the currency. So just Home tab and format format cells and currency, um, 0 decimals with the dollar sign. Okay, and hit OK. Okay, so we got that. All right, so let's let's double check here, and then we'll fix the rest. So this is
This
blank.
Yeah, this one says equals B3.
Okay, so change that to say equals B2.
Okay.
So just fix that one first. That should be equals B2.
Yes.
All right, and then this one should say this equals 0.1 times B3 plus 0.9 times C3. So let's fix that one, and then that'll fix the rest of them. So just fix,
Okay, yeah.
all right, and if you
Okay,
and then just overwrite everything else. So if this one is equals 0.1 times B3 plus 0.9 times C3, just grab the bottom right corner and drag it all the way down to here, and that should do it.
okay.
And for the rest, for everyone else, you should already have that lined up. And so all you have to do to get the forecast is go down to,
I got it. Thank you.
okay, you're welcome. Go down to C105 right here and just drag it down one like that. And so this is what we need to double check. So if you did everything correctly, your week 105 forecast should be this equal. So in C106, this is the formula equals 0.1 times B105 plus 0.9 times C105. Okay, so see how it's alpha times the last observation plus 1 minus alpha times the last forecast. And your value should be this. So did everyone get 1,816 in C106? So we're double checking that value there. Okay, so see how the moving average process kind of does the same thing? It's always, well, the first one starts with that, and then this one starts with alpha times the last observation plus 1 minus alpha times the last forecast. So we keep doing the same thing all the way down. And then your last one, your final one for week 105 should do the same formula, but that's essentially your forecast because you're basing your forecast off how much weight you put to the last observation and then how much weight you put to the last forecast. Okay, which will give us that. Yeah? Okay. Okay, let's freeze the top row again because this is so we can because we're adding more things. So if you want to do that again, you can do view and freeze panes and freeze top row. Okay, so that should see how it keeps that. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so next thing. Okay, let's get the errors for this one in column D, and then we'll get the APE in the next one. All right, so back to the spreadsheet, and let's get the errors for the alpha equals 0.1. So in column D1, let's call this error. And in column in D1, let's call this error. In E1, let's call this APE. Okay, and let's get the error starting in D3 with equals. Okay, equals B3 minus C3. So there's the difference between uh, the actual sales and the alpha prediction. Okay, and then you can get your APE right here with the same formula we've been doing. So equals ABS, double parenthesis, and we want okay equals ABS, absolute value of double parenthesis B3 minus C3 divided by B3. So equals actual minus predicted over actual. Right. Equals ABS B3 minus C3 divided by B3. All right, and let's format the E column to be percentage again. So click on the E and let's do change the general to percentage. There we go. Okay, and if you got this one here and this one here, let's go ahead and select them both, D3 and E3, and let's grab the bottom right corner and drag it down to do all the calculations for these ones, like this. Oh, don't do that. Sorry, like this. Okay, so drag it all the way down so you get your error and your APE all the way down to week 105. So you should have a value in D3 all the way to E105. Okay. All right, and then we can double check that we got the same average error and the same APE. So just take the average in uh, D6 and E106. So in D6 equals average. Okay, average D3 to D105. Enter. And here equals average. So in E106 equals average. E3 to E105. Okay, so this is our, I'm going to highlight this area because this is our forecast area with the forecast and the average errors. So if you want to select A106 to E106 and just highlight it. Okay, so then we can double check that we got, so double check that your C106 is that 1,816. Double check that your average error in D106 is $28. And double check that your MAPE in E106 is 15.38%. Okay, we got all that? Okay, so let's do another, let's specify a different alpha, which is going to be alpha equals 0.5. We'll do the same thing and kind of compare them. So we're going to do an alpha equals 0.5, and we'll get the MAPE and the average error and compare them, and then we'll make some graphs. Okay, so in F1, let's call this alpha equals 0.5. Okay, in G1, let's call this error. And in H1, let's call this AP. Okay, so now we're going to use data analysis to do another exponential smoothing. The only difference is we have an alpha now of 0.5, which means so the idea here is this one only put 10% of the weight on the last observation. This one puts 50%. So now we think what just happened is much more important. Okay, let's do that by clicking Data tab. data analysis. All right, exponential smoothing again. Okay, okay. All right, so some of the things that should, so the input range is the same. You can leave that as B1 to B105. All right, and then your damping factor is now 0.5. Okay, that's checked, but we need to specify the new range, and actually I think it's easier just to change the references, so let's change it to F2 to F106. Okay, so this is what you should have. You got input range is B1 to B105. That's the same as before. Damping factor is 0.5. Labels box is checked. And your output range is F2 to F106. All right, hit OK. Okay, that should put the calculations there for the exponential smoothing with the different alpha, yeah. Okay. All right. So the F2 NA thing, delete that. All right. Let's format the F column. Click on the F whole column and let's format it to be currency. So just Home tab, format, format cells, uh, currency, no decimals with the dollar sign. Okay. And then let's go down and see what we got. And to get our week 105 forecast for alpha equals 0.5, just go to this one, and this is cell F105, and just drag it down one, like that. And this should be the one, this should be your your value for F106, which should say equals 0.5 times B105 plus 0.5 times F105. So alpha 0.5 times the last observation plus 1 minus alpha, which is also 0.5 times the last forecast. And your value here that I want you to check should be, I believe, 1,767. So do we get that in F106?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so let's get the errors, let's get the MAPEs, let's make a little comparison and make a few graphs, and then we're done. So okay, in G3, the formula is equals. Okay, equals F3 minus B3. So how far off this prediction was from the actual. And in H3, the formula is equals ABS. All right. So equals ABS double parenthesis B3 minus F3 divided by B3. Okay. Equals ABS B3 minus F3 divided by B3. So actual minus predicted divided by the actual. Okay. H column. Click on that. Let's make that percentages. All right. Under Home tab, there's the shortcut. And this will, you can add decimals here. All right. And then let's go ahead and click on these two. G3 and H3. Okay, grab the bottom right corner and drag it down all the way to there. Okay, so you got errors and APs in this whole range, G3 to H105. And last thing here, let's get the average error and the average APE. All right, so in G106 equals average. Okay, equals average G3 to G105. And in H106 equals average of H3 to H105. Okay, so I'm gonna highlight this area to be yellow as well, and then let's compare our values. All right, so your alpha equals 0.5 week 105 forecast right here should be 1,767. Your average error in G106 should be -$5, and your MAPE in H105 should be 13.46%. So double check those ones. All right, we got the same things? Okay, all right. Okay, now what I'd like to do, let's get a graph of the forecast. Let's get a graph of both forecasts and the actual data. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Okay, we're going to select the week, the sales, and both alphas. So we have to do, let's do this. Let's see. Okay, so first, select A1 to C106. Then, hold down the control button and select the F column. Okay, which is going to be F1 to F106. So see how I've got all this selected? A1 to A1 to C106 and F1 to F106. Okay, so you can select those non-adjacent ranges by holding down the control button for your second selection. Okay, and then here we go. Insert tab, recommended charts. First one looks good, the line chart. Hit OK. All right, look at that. So this is a nice little picture of what's going on here, and it even gives us the labels. So what should have happened, or what it should have given you, is the blue line is the sales. The red line is the alpha equals 0.1, and the green line is the alpha equals 0.5. Now, the most choppy one is the sales data, and that's because it has everything. Okay, the alpha 0.1 is a little smoother because it puts uh, less weight on what just happened and more weight on the overall movement. See how it kind of gets the general trend? And the alpha equals 0.5 is smoother than the blue line, but so basically if you want just the overall movements, the overall trends, then the less weight you put on the last observation gives you that. If you want to get more of what's recently happened or put more weight on the last observation, then increase alpha. So see how increasing alpha is it's gonna give you more, it's gonna be more like the actual data, but it's going to be harder to make a prediction. So there's the alpha equals 0.1 line, and there's the alpha equals 0.5. And again, the lower the alpha is, the smoother the line will be. The higher the alpha is, the more close it'll be to the previous data, to the more choppy. Okay, did we get this one? Did that work? All right, so actually we don't really need to do much. So we know this is the dollar value. This is the week. Let's just call this uh, exponential smoothing forecast. Okay, so we got the graph, yeah, and we got our week 105 forecasts. We got our MAPs, and let's compare all of them, all three, the two here, and the one from the moving average, and see which one I guess is the best. Okay, so those are our forecasts for the different alphas, and those are our MAPs. And none of these are perfect, but let's see what our best one is, I guess. The MAP for this one was 13.93% from 14.5. This one was 50, so this one I guess is the lowest. So based on the three, you could do a lot more attempts and change alphas and change the moving averages, but just based on we get the idea. But based on these three, this one does it have the lowest error too? This one has, well, you'd have to. This one has the lowest average error, but this one has the lowest MAP. So probably this one, given the analysis, is the lowest. All right, so I'm saying that comparing the MAPs, that one's the lowest, so we'd make this one just based on these three attempts our best forecast. So I'll just go ahead and make a box there. There we go. All right, so that would be our best week 105 sales forecast, 1,767. Okay. All right, so everyone good on this one and this one? We got them nice. We got them both together. So we got the completed moving average forecast stuff on the 14.5 tab, and the completed exponential smoothing on example 14.6. Okay, so if you got all that, we're done with this one.
Where would we upload them both on the separate one or just on one of them? Are they on the same discussion?
I think they're on the same one. Let's see. Yeah, so there's one discussion for both of them. So you just got the one file with the two tabs. So you can just post that one here, and then that's it. All right, so that file with the two tabs goes there by next Monday, or if you're done with it now, you can post it now. Yeah. Okay, so that's it for today. Thanks for joining. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you next Monday.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.